These are rather different. Let's get into it. So the Momentum 4 weren't super extravagant with their packaging. They came with the headphones, a 2.5 to 3.5 wire, to which I swapped out the original because it just wasn't the greatest quality and it was pretty short. However, I can't find the original now, so you're gonna see B-roll of the one I currently have. It also came with a dual mono airplane adapter, a USB-C to A charging wire, and a portable hard case. And that hard case is... The Nova 7 have a much different unboxing experience. They came with the headphones, USB-C wireless dongle, a 5-pole to 4-pole 3.5mm headphone wire, which does support mic usage, a USB-A to female C extender, a USB-A to C charging wire, and a weird cardboard figure builder. I have no idea why that's there. Obviously, this comparison is very different. One's a gaming headset and one's a lifestyle ANC headphone. Their packages obviously cater to different needs, so I'm not really gonna say one's better than the other. Design and build wise, the Nova 7 are a bit more complex than the Sennheisers. However, one's trying to cater to a lifestyle and another's trying to cater to gaming, so they kind of fit their needs. Momentum 4 have a very thin headband with pleather and fabric and a thin but good enough cushion. The Nova 7 on the other hand use a dual headband design with a ski band, to which is adjusted by 2 notches on the inside, and ear cups can adjust with a telescoping adjustment. And the Momentum 4 also use that same telescoping adjustment, but that's the only adjustment you have. Neither can fold inward, and I know a lot of people care about that. However, they both do swivel and tilt, and a lot of headphones forget about swivel, but almost all forget about tilt. So it's nice that there's both because it caters to the actual shape of a head and ears. Imagine that. The ear cups on both are pretty shallow. My ears do touch the drivers on both, but the ear cups on the Nova 7 do seem smaller, but I put them next to each other and I could be wrong about that. The ear pads are very different. The Nova 7 have a sports-like material with a little pleather on the inside to keep that sound in, whereas the Momentum 4, they use vegan leather ear pads, which is to help ANC performance. The Nova 7 have lots of buttons and knobs, whereas the Momentum 4s just have one button and a touch interface on the right side. Now, weight-wise, the Momentum 4 are technically lighter, but they both feel very light. The Nova 7 weigh 325 grams or 11.4 ounces, whereas the Momentum 4 weigh in at 290 grams or 10.2 ounces, depending on how you want to look at it. Now, they both feel pretty good build-wise. However, I don't know how I didn't notice before, but the Nova 7 are pretty creaky and squeaky. I don't know how I didn't really notice this before, but now that I've noticed it, I can't unnotice it. Now, the Momentum 4 just feel a bit better built, but you also gotta remember that there's a huge price gap between these two, so I would expect the Momentum 4 to feel more premium, but I'm not saying the Nova 7 don't feel premium. They do feel premium. They just got that squeak and creak. Comfort-wise, the Nova 7 have a little to no downward force, whereas I feel the headband of the Momentum 4 are grabbing my head. The Nova 7 have very little clamping force, but that wasn't always the case. I did have to break them in. The Momentum 4 are pretty tight. Even though I would say that they're a medium clamping, I would say it's still a bit too tight even after breaking them in. When I first got them, it was nearly unbearable, and I've seen other people in comments saying that their Momentum 4s were just way too tight for them. So just keep that in mind. The clamping force is pretty heavy on the Momentum 4s. The ear cups of the Momentum 4 are a bit deeper, so I get less ear touching than the Nova 7, but haven't really found either to be a problem. Even though the Nova 7 are technically heavier, the Momentum 4 have a weird weightiness to them, causing more downward force to happen. And I don't get pressure points on either of these headphones, even with the tight clamping force. Comfort wise, I'm gonna give it to the Nova 7. I can more easily forget I'm wearing them, where the Momentum 4 comparatively just feel too tight on my head. Controls wise, they both take very different approaches. The Nova 7, the left ear cup has a mute switch with red lining to indicate muting, the volume slider, and 3.5mm headphone jack. The right ear cup has power switch with the green light, Bluetooth switch with a blue light, game chat slider, and a USB-C port for both charging and USB wired connection on PC. Also, the microphone does have an LED light to tell you if it's muted or not. The Momentum 4 is pretty simple. The right ear cup is a touch control center. The button is multi-control. It does power on and off, voice assistant, and pairing mode. And when it comes to the touch controls, you tap once to play and pause, you double tap to switch to ANC transparent mode, you swipe right or left to answer and decline calls, you swipe up or down for volume, and you pinch to control the amount of ANC or transparency. So instead of listing off all the specs, we're just gonna go over the features and functions that I think are important, and I'll put the specs that I think that are also important down at the bottom so you can get the in-depth idea of the specs. The Momentum 4 have a 42mm dynamic driver, and the Nova 7 have a 40mm dynamic driver. So the Momentum 4s do have noise cancellation and transparency mode. However, the Nova 7 don't, so we're really not going to go into the ANC. There's really no point, but just know it's really good. And if you do want to know my in-depth thoughts on it, you can go to my dedicated video right here. So the Nova 7s do have simultaneous wireless. You can use Bluetooth and 2.4 gigahertz at the same time. time. And these both have a form of side tone, to which a lot of people know that that's very important. The Nova 7 can use side tone while gaming. However, the Momentum 4, you cannot use a side tone while gaming over wire. However, you can use side tone when you're on a phone call with people and hear yourself talking, or if you're using your transparency mode and talking to somebody, you can use a side tone there, but it just doesn't work in game while wired. So when it comes to the codecs, the Momentum 4s are using AAC, SBC, aptX, and aptX adaptive for low latency audio. I couldn't find any info on the codec the Nova 7s are using, but I'm sure it's AAC and SBC, the standard codecs. The Momentum 4 do have the Sennheiser Connect app on mobile with lots of EQs and ANC controls. Now on PC, the Nova 7 have the GG engine and lots of EQ controls and presets that can be saved to the device, along with sonar for much deeper control, along with virtual surround and 360 audio. Now when it comes to Bluetooth gaming with either of these, I just think it's out of the question. The latency is very noticeable on both of these. However, watching videos and movies with these, the latency is less noticeable, especially with the Momentum 4s. It is a little bit noticeable with the Nova 7s, but you can watch videos and movies with these comfortably. The Nova 7 do have a noticeable audio degradation over Bluetooth, and I feel like they don't sound their best over Bluetooth, but I'd say a similar thing about the Momentum 4. Even though they sound excellent over Bluetooth, I'd say audio is just way better over a wired connection, especially if the Momentum 4 are on while being wired. The Nova 7 do sound really good over 2.4 gigahertz. However, I do think that they just both sound way better wired, and that's how I did most of my testing for this video. Now onto the mic test.
You are now hearing the Sennheiser Momentum 4 wireless Bluetooth headphones. You cannot use the microphone in-game. You can only use it for daily use, like phone calls, video calls. Kind of a bummer, but you do need to know that. But hey, onto a microphone you can use in-game.
You are now hearing the Steel Series Arctis Nova 7. Now, this you can use in-game for in-game comms. Of course you can, it's a gaming headset. But hey, I just want to say a special thank you to all the members that have decided to support the channel. And you can support the channel at as low as $2 a month. It's called the V-Level Thrifty. You get special perks to the channel. I greatly appreciate the support, and it helps make this channel possible. Anyway guys, back to the video.
Now that's how they sound. So the sound between these is not your usual difference between the two headphones. There's a lot of similarities, but where they're different, they're very different. So the soundstage on both of these is very good and wide. Even though the Momentum 4s aren't as wide, they do just sound a bit more natural with their soundstage. Now, unlike some gaming headsets, neither of these feel like they're very boxed in. Like I said, the soundstage is pretty good, but they also sound like they can breathe, like they have space. Now, I still stand by the fact that the Nova 7 have enough bass, but they do lack sub bass, which can be a bummer for some people. The Momentum 4s just have this amazing gun impact. Like in Destiny, guns sound powerful and punchy, and put next to the Nova 7, the lack of punch is way more noticeable. Now, directional audio, I feel like they're both great. Never did I feel like I couldn't pick out an enemy in the direction that they were. However, if I had to pick which one had better directional audio, I would have to say the Momentum 4s, but just barely. I felt like the footsteps were easier to pick out with the Nova 7s due to the prominent high mids and lack of bass. However, the Sennheisers have both sparkly highs and deep rumbly bass, but the Nova 7 comparatively have just a bit too much highs. Games like The Witcher 3, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, Scarlet Nexus were 3 games I found that the highs were just a bit too much. The Witcher 3 and Bloodstained, it was peaking pretty significantly. But open world games do still sound amazing on both. The detailed wind and grass sound natural and detailed. However, with the Momentum 4s having that slightly heavier bass, I found that the adventure games and open world games a bit more immersive and just a bit better. Music with these both sounds amazing with detail and great instrument separation. Metal sounds so good on the Momentum 4s with the rumble in the bass notes, the detail on the guitars, and still getting that double kick drums and the cymbals together. The Nova 7s were also effective but less impactful due to the lack of bass. Now again, I know I didn't mention the bass before, but the more I use them, the more I compare them to things, the more I notice this. And I just feel like competitively, yes, the lack of bass is good. Sound-wise, these both sound great, even incredible, but I think the Momentum 4 have what the Nova 7 lack. They have great high-end detail with deep punchy bass and booming sub-bass without getting muddy, where the Nova 7 can't get that low and can sometimes have too much peaking in the highs. Both headphones make for great competitive gaming, but the Nova 7 have the great footstep sound, so I'll have to say the Momentum 4 all around is the better sounding headset, but they do lack functionality by not having mic capability or low latency wireless gaming ability. However, both sound better over wire anyway. But if you need a mic, the Nova 7 are still the best headset I've personally used functionally and sound wise. I just wish they had more bass. But if you need an all-around headphone for lifestyle, music, movies, and gaming, but don't need a mic, I'd rather recommend the Sennheisers. But if you want more in-depth thoughts on the Momentum 4s, I will have a video right here you can check out. And also, Again, affiliate links down below to anything we talked about today. Again, both of these headphones are amazing. I love them both. Keep that in mind. I'm not hating on the Nova 7s. They're still my favorite wireless headset, bar none. Anyway, guys, have a good one. Peace out.